Bismillahir Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa kafa wa salamun ala ibadihi alladhina istafa. Amma ba'd. So we were discussing the different asanids and the different levels of the asanids. So here we are going into another discussion on which book is the most authentic book. So Imam Ibn Hajar Asqalani broaches this subject and he says, وَيَلْتَحِقُ بِهَذَا التفاضل ما اتفق الشيخان على تخريجه بالنسبة إلى من فرد به أحدهما. And we add to this superiority. So what is talking about superiority? This superiority, remember the different isnads that we looked at. There were Sahih isnads, and then within the Sahih isnads there were different levels of Sahih isnad. Then we went into the Hasan isnad. He said we add to this. So this is within this Sihha we had this. So he says we add to this. Let's see, I think I've kept the drawing. Yeah. So this is the drawing that I kept. So within the Sahih, we had this different level that we go into Hasan Da'if. So Imam Ibn Hajar Asqalani says, add to this is, now he's going to look at books and what type of books have got the most Sahih hadith. He says, مَتَّفَقَ الشَّيْخَانِ عَلَى تَخْرِيجِهِ. Those hadith where the Shaykhan, Imam Bukhari and Muslim, so Shaykhan is Bukhari and Muslim, both of them have reference included this hadith in their book. بالنسبة إلى من فرد به أحدهما, with respect to in respect to what man فرد به أحدهما, what only one of them have narrated. So you got three possibilities here, and that is that both of them have narrated the hadith, the same hadith in their books, or one of them have narrated that they did infirad. Okay, either Bukhari did infirad or Muslim did infirad. But the one that both of them have narrated together is of a higher epistemic level than the one that they have narrated on their own. Okay, so we have the first one is Mattafaq al-Shaykhan, which is known as Muttafaq alayh. Then we have وَمَا إِنْفَرَدَ بِهِ الْبُخَارِيُّ بِالنِّسْبَةِ إِلَى مَا إِنْفَرَدَ بِهِ Muslim. The second level is the one that Imam Bukhari is alone in narrating with regards in respect to one that Imam Muslim is narrating on his own. So if Imam Muslim is narrating something and Imam Bukhari is narrating something, then the infiradat of Imam al-Bukhari will be preponderant, will take privilege over that which Imam Muslim has narrated. Why? لِاتِّفَاقِ الْعُلَمَاء بَعْدَهُمَا عَلَى تَلَقِّي خِتَابَيْهِمَا بِالْقَبُولِ وَإِخْتِلَافِ بَعْدِهِمْ فِي أَيُّهُمَا أَرْجَى. Because the ulama of hadith are muttafaq, they are all concluding on the fact that لِاتِّفَاقِ بَعْدَهُمَا, after them, that both of their books have been على تلقي كتابيهما بالقبول, both of the kitabs have been accepted by the ulama together. واختلاف بعضهم في أيهما أرجى, and there is اختلاف according to some of them which one is the more rajih, preponderant, the stronger book. فما اتفق عليه أرجح من هذه الحيثية مما لم يتفق عليه. And the ones that the ulama have done ittifaq on is more rajih, preponderant from this perspective than on the thing that the ulama have not done ittifaq on. So basically saying that why do we Why do we accept that muttafaq alay is right at the top, and then the ones that they are munfarid on, either Bukhari or Muslim, that comes second or third? It says because all of the ulama after them have accepted the package of Shaykhan, okay, as it's a package. Okay, nobody has disputed that package, but single-handedly or alone, which one is more preponderant? Is it Bukhari or is it Muslim? Then there is ikhtilaf on that. So it is better to act upon the muttafaq alay rather than the one that is munfarid. Okay, and then the discussion is going to go on to which one is better, Bukhari or Muslim. Okay, so let's write this up. So we have number one, muttafaq alayh. Number two, al-Bukhari. Number three, Muslim. So now what he's going to do is he's going to park this discussion here and then go on to discussing which of them is more authentic. وقد صرح الجمهور بتقديم صحيح البخاري في الصحة. That the jumhur, majority of the scholars have done tasrih, have clearly mentioned that as far as the authenticity is concerned, Bukhari takes pride of place. It's muqaddam. وَلَمْ يُوجَدْ عَنْ أَحَدٍ التَّصْرِيحُ بِنَقِيضِهِ. And there isn't anything from anyone which says the opposite. Okay. However, so most of the ulama have said that Bukhari is preponderant over Muslim. However, وَأَمَّا مَا نُقِلَ عَنْ أَبِي عَلِي النَّيْسَابُورِي. He said there is no exception, but actually there are few exceptions, and what he's doing is now he's responding to those exceptions. وَأَمَّا مَا نُقِلَ عن أبي علي النيسابوري أنه قال ما تحت أديم السماء أصح من كتاب مسلم. And as for that which has been narrated, transmitted from Abu Ali al-Naysapuri, أنه قال, that he said, who is this Abu Ali al-Naysapuri? I think he's one of the teachers of Imam al-Nasa'i. أنه قال ما تحت أديم السماء, that under the heavens there is no book more sahih than the book of Imam Muslim. Imam Ibn Hajar Asqalani rahmatullahi alayhi, he gives a response to this which is not convincing. It is quite a pithy response. He could have just basically said in his response that Abu Ali al-Naysapuri is the exception to this rule, and that was his particular opinion, and the rest of the ulama do not agree with Abu Ali al-Naysapuri. And that's fine, right? People always have exceptions, but he is now kind of giving an interpretation of Abu Ali al-Naysapuri's words, which is kind of really doesn't really sound right, okay? And it's a very weak evidence. He says, فَلَمْ يُصَرِّحْ بِكَوْنِهِ أَصَحُّ مِنْ صَحِيحِ الْبُخَارِ. Abu Ali al-Naysapuri did not clearly say that the Sahih Muslim is more Sahih than Sahih al-Bukhari. He just said, مَا تَحْتَ أَدِيمِ السَّمَاءِ, that there is no book other than under the heavens more Sahih than Sahih Muslim. So he's saying he did not clearly say that, and it is more Sahih than Sahih Bukhari. He just kept it generic. لأنه, so this is why, لأنه إنما نفى وجود كتاب أصح من كتاب مسلم. It says, he said what he has denied is for there to be a book which is more Sahih than the Sahih of Muslim. إذ المنفى إنما هو ما تقتضيه, because إذ المنفى إنما هو ما تقتضيه صيغة أفعل, because the thing that is being denied requires the superlative or the comparative صيغة أفعل. من زيادة صحة في كتاب شارك كتاب مسلم في الصحة يمتاز بتلك ولم ينفي المساودة. means the صيغة أفعل basically is comparative. It denies that there is something which is more sahih, a book which is more sahih in comparison to Sahih Muslim. That book which is more sahih is distinguished بتلك الزيادة عليه, is distinguished by that زيادة. ولم ينفي المساواة. However, the Imam Abu Ali al-Nisapuri did not deny that something cannot be on the same level as Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim. So he's basically saying, he says, Sahih Muslim, there can't be anything more Sahih than Sahih Muslim, right? Because this is what the word af'al, asah, it requires, that it's a comparative term or a superlative term. It can't be more better, but that doesn't mean that it can't be on the same level. So at least according to Abu Ali al-Nisapuri, if Bukhari is not better, it's still on the same level, and Imam Muslim is not denying that, which is, to my mind, it is kind of a pithy response. He could have just basically said, well, that was Abu Ali al-Nisapuri's personal opinion. So that's the first person who is going against this rule, Abu Ali al-Nisapuri. The second one is وَكَذَلِكَ مَا نُقِلَ عَنْ بَعْدِ الْمَغَارِبَ أَنَّهُ فَضَّلَ صَحِيحَ مُسْلِمٍ عَلَى صَحِيحِ الْبُخَارِ. And وَكَذَلِكَ, and similarly, what has been narrated from some of the Maghribi scholars, some of the Western Islamic scholars, so Maghariba, Andalusia, and those places, that they did tafdeel, they preferred Sahih Muslim over Sahih Bukhari. فَذَلِكَ فِيمَا يَرْجِعُ إِلَى حُسْنِ السِّيَاقِ. Okay, that preference relates to حُسْنُ السِّيَاقِ. Husn al-Siyaq basically means the brilliance of his composition, وَجَوْدَةُ الْوَضْعِ وَالتَّرْتِيبِ, and the superior nature of his organization. Right? So yes, the Maghribi scholars, the Moroccan, the West African, the Andalusian, they preferred Sahih Muslim over Sahih Bukhari. And Imam Ibn Hajar Asqalani rahmatullahi alayh, he is accepting that. And the reason why he's accepting that is because there's, but that's the truth. Okay, whereas in Abu Ali al-Nisapuri's case, he's doing a linguistic analysis of asah, and asah can't be better, but that doesn't mean that there's nothing similar. But in this case, he's basically accepting that, but then he's explaining it, and he's saying, yes, but the reason why they prefer the Sahih Muslim over the Sahih Bukhari is because the Sahih Muslim, as far as its organization is concerned, it is better organized. Okay, and that is one of the reasons why the ulama, they say, is that because Imam Bukhari did not, because he was continuously traveling, he didn't have the time to edit his book, whereas Imam Muslim's book is better edited. There is more, there is more clarity in its organization, in the structure of the book, and the way that Imam Muslim, he arranges the material. For example, Imam Muslim does not do taqti' of the hadith. Taqti' means he doesn't truncate the hadith. He mentions the whole hadiths together. He does not separate the hadiths in too many different places. He brings all of them together in one place. It is a book which is easier to use. Also, the Sahih Muslim is the book which is 100% par excellence, the hadith book. Even in fact, Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayhi did not even put chapter headings. Those babs, Kitab al-Tahara, Babu Salat, and all of that thing that we have, Kitab al-Salat, Kitab al-Zakat, Kitab al-Tahara. That wasn't even by Imam Muslim. That was actually by Imam al-Nawawi. Imam Nawawi put those in. So Imam Muslim's book is actually, other than the Muqaddimah, it's just pure hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Whereas Bukhari it's got his chapter headings. It got commentary. It's got fatawas. It got Imam Bukhari's own opinions. It's got quotations from other ulama. So it's not 100% just pure hadith. There are also commentaries and things like that. So this is why some people liked Muslim as a hadith book, because of the better composition. Imam Ibn Hajar is accepting that. He says, وَلَمْ يُفْصِحْ أَحَدٌ مِّنْهُمْ بِأَنَّ ذَلِكَ رَاجِعٌ عَلَى الْأَصَحِيَّةِ. But not one of them have done وَلَمْ يُفْصِحْ أَحَدٌ مِّنْهُمْ. Not one of them has done clearly mentioned بأن ذلك راجع إلى الأصحية, that goes back to the Sihha. Not one of them has mentioned that Sahih Muslim is more Sahih than Sahih al-Bukhari. Right? They didn't say that. When they say that Sahih Muslim is better than Sahih al-Bukhari, they mean as far as its composition is concerned. So it's like basically saying you've got two books, right? An old book, which is an old version of Sahih Bukhari, and then you've got a new one from Darul Kutub al-Ilmiya or whatever of Sahih Muslim, and you're saying, well, my version or my copy of the Sahih Muslim is on high gloss paper, whereas my version of Sahih al-Bukhari it's a very old one. It's the Tawq al-Najah edition, and it's tattered and things like that. So this is what he's saying. But as far as you won't make a comparison, as far as Sihha is concerned, you'll still agree that the Sahih al-Bukhari is more Sahih. This is what Imam Ibn Hajar is saying, that when they say it is better, it's better because of other factors, not because of the fact that the hadiths are more Sahih. وَلَوْ أَفْصَحُوا بِهِ. And even if they did, some of them did basically say that Sahih al-Bukhari, Sahih Muslim is more Sahih than Sahih al-Bukhari. لَرَدَّهُ عَلَيْهِمْ شَاهِدُ الْوُجُودِ. Actual physical existence, that physical existence and people's dealings with both of these books is enough evidence, Shahid al-Wujud, enough evidence to debunk that claim. If we look at the way that people deal with Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, you will see that people have more reverence and more veneration for Sahih al-Bukhari. So the Shahid al-Wujud, practical the practical everyday usage and everyday how people treatment of those books is a rad on those people, because a practical everyday usage shows that Sahih people have more veneration for Sahih al-Bukhari over Sahih Muslim. Is there any are there any questions before we move on?
I only have one question. In terms of the hadith that is agreed upon by both Imam Bukhari and Muslim, does that mean that the isnad is different in both books, or could it be that sometimes they have the exact same isnad in Bukhari?
Well, they won't have exactly the same. They won't have exactly the same isnad, but the chances are that the isnads may merge somewhere. Either on they might have the same teachers. Okay, so if they have the same teachers, then from there the isnad might be exactly the same. But they may not have the same teachers in that particular hadith, but their teacher might be the same, and then so somewhere the isnad might merge. Yeah,
got it.
Well, I had a quick question. I know maybe there's a handful, maybe one or two or something like that, hadith in Bukhari, which some scholars have put a question mark on. Is there such a thing? Is there something similar in Muslim?
Yeah, there is. Imam Daraqutni, Imam Ibn Hajar deals with this in his Fathul Bari, in the Muqaddimah of Fathul Bari. He deals with that.
Okay.
We're checking the what Omar has said. Checking the isnad. Right. Right. So here we find حدثنا الحميدي عبد الله بن الزبير قال حدثنا سفيان بن عيينة قال حدثنا يحيى بن سعيد الأنصاري قال أخبرني محمد بن إبراهيم التيمي. Let's look at Imam Muslim's. This one, because this hadith only has one isnad, chances are that it might be the same. Right. This Bukhari. Okay, so look at this. حدثنا عبد الله بن مسلمة القعنبي حدثنا عبد الله بن مسلمة القعنبي قال حدثنا مالك عن يحيى بن سعيد. So we have the Bukhari isnad. So if we have Imam Bukhari here for إنما الأعمال بالنيات, Bukhari, moving this way, Humaydi, Sufyan, and then Yahya ibn Sa'id. Yahya ibn Sa'id. We have the Muslim. One goes to, it's too long. Okay. Muslim is al-Qa'nabi, Muhammad ibn Maslam al-Qa'nabi. Qa'nabi from Imam Malik. And then it goes on to Yahya ibn Sa'id. And then the isnad is the same. Yeah? Do you get me? Umar, does that make sense?
Got it. Yeah, it
So
makes a lot of sense.
This is how it will be. Yeah.
Thank you for showing that.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, so now is basically going to give evidence of why the Bukhari is more privileged over Muslim. He's already said that Bukhari is more privileged over Muslim. He's given the exceptions. He's not accepting those exceptions. He is explaining those away. Now he's going to give evidence as to why he believes that Bukhari is more Sahih than Muslim. And the way he does that is he will look at the 5 conditions of Sahih. Adalatul Rawi, Dabtul Rawi, Ittisalul Sanad, Adamul Shuzuz, and Adamul Ilal. He is going to say that Bukhari, in all of those conditions, those 5 conditions are found in a more superior manner in Bukhari than in Muslim. Okay? فالصفات التي تدر عليها الصحة في كتاب البخاري أتم منها في كتاب مسلم وأشد. The conditions upon which a Sahih Hadith is based on are found in a more complete manner and more stronger manner in Sahih al-Bukhari than Sahih Muslim. وشرطه فيها أقوى أسد. And the conditions of Sahih in the Sahih al-Bukhari is more firm and more steadfast than the conditions of the Sahih in the Sahih of Imam Muslim. أما رجحانه من حيث الاتصال. So he's looking at عدالة الراوي ضبط الراوي اتصال السند. He says أما رجحانه من حيث as far as the connectedness is concerned. Remember, one of the conditions is for the isnad to be connected. Yeah. Yep. Do you agree with me?
Yes.
Yeah. So Imam Bukhari's condition is فَلِإِشْتِرَاتِهِ أَن يَكُونَ الرَّاوِيُّ قَدْ ثَبَتَ لَهُ لِقَاءُ مَنْ رَوَى عَنْهُ وَلَوْ مَرَّةً وَاكْتَفَى مُسْلِمٌ بِمُطْلَقِ الْمُعَاصَرَةِ. Imam Bukhari's rujhan as far as ittisal sanad is concerned is because Imam Bukhari stipulates ayyakun rawi qad thabata lahu the narrator who is narrating there has to be an established meeting between the person that he narrates from walau marratan, even though that might be one time. Okay. What that basically means is that for Imam Bukhari, at least in order for a hadith to be included in Imam Bukhari's Sahih, Imam Bukhari says that the narrator, the student and the teacher, there has to be some clear indication that they have met and a student and a student-teacher relationship has established, either by saying that I have met. So, for example, in this isnad, where is it? Let's say al-Qa'nabi, Muhammad ibn Maslam al-Qa'nabi, saying that he has met Imam Malik, or who uses terminologies that tells us that he couldn't have heard this hadith without actually have meeting. For example, he says, "Sami'tu Malikan yaqul," I have heard Malik say. Right, that is clear that he has met, because nowadays, if you say I've heard Imam Malik say, or I've heard Mufti Menk say, that doesn't mean anything, because hearing nowadays can be different. I can never have met Mufti Menk, but I still can have heard him say something over the internet. But in those times, right, I heard him say this in the class means that I have met him. Right. So Imam Bukhari, for Imam Bukhari to include the hadith, include a rawi in his book, Sahih, only for Sahih Bukhari, not for any other books. This is not a general condition. The condition only for Sahih Bukhari, there has to be an established meeting, at least once in a lifetime, between the narrator and the one who narrates from, between the teacher and the sheikh. Whereas Imam Muslim, rahmatullahi alayhi, وَاكْتَفَى مُسْلِمٌ بِمُطْلَقِ الْمُعَاصَرَةِ, Imam Muslim rahmatullahi alayhi only suffices with the possibility of meeting because they are contemporaries. بِمُطْلَقِ الْمُعَاصَرَةِ. He doesn't make it a condition that there has to be an evidence that these two people met. Right? So they can be narrating with an. When you say if al-Maslama, Muhammad ibn Maslama al-Qa'nabi an Malik, Muhammad ibn Maslama Qa'nabi from Malik, from can be, well, he got that from a book or he heard it from a second source. It just means that this is a transmission. It doesn't tell us whether they met or not. So as far as Imam Muslim is concerned, his condition is as long as it is historically possible for them to be narrating from each other, okay, then you don't need to prove that they've met. This is sufficient. So now you can understand from here that Imam Bukhari's condition is superior because Imam Bukhari is stipulating that they must have met. Yeah, they must have met. So for example, I'll just give you an example today. My daughter lost her charger, right? And she's looking everywhere for it. And I said to her, go and look in your room. And she goes, Baba, I did not take it to my room. And I said, that may be the case, but please go and check it at least one time. She said, Baba, but why should I check it if I haven't taken it to my room? I said, please go and check it in your room. Right. So what I'm basically saying to her is more superior than what she's trying to say, because she wants me and us to look throughout the entire house for her charger other than her bedroom, because she's got it in her head that she hasn't taken it to her bedroom. I'm basically saying that may be the case, but at least go and check in your bedroom. So there is more of a chance that if I don't find it in the house, it might be in her bedroom because somebody else might have taken it, right? There is more of a chance that the conditions are stricter. I don't know, does that make sense? So Imam Bukhari is basically saying that at least once in their lifetime, it is necessary that they have met. Whereas Imam Muslim basically says that no, as long as it is possible, right, for them to have narrated, you can still immediately see that there is Imam Bukhari's condition is much more stricter than Imam Muslim. So let's give the Mufti Menk, example. I have never ever met Mufti Menk. I'm a contemporary of Mufti Menk. I have been in majlises where Mufti Menk has been. I've heard him speak. Right, I've been in the same majlis as him, but I couldn't meet him. We have, we run in the same circles. We have people, mutual people, close people that we know who knows each other. Right. So according to Imam Muslim, this is sufficient for me. This condition, all of those contextual evidence is sufficient in order to accept a narrator in his Sahih. Whereas according to Imam Bukhari, because there isn't a direct evidence that I've actually met him, despite being in the same room with him, Imam Bukhari won't accept that narration from me from Mufti Menk. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So you can see immediately Imam Bukhari is more stricter. Now, there is a i'tirad. There are some questions raised on Imam Bukhari's methodology. Okay, and Imam Ibn Hajar is going to respond to those questions. وَأَلْزَمَ الْبُخَارِيَّ بِأَنَّهُ يَحْتَاجُ أَلَّا يَقْبَلَ الْعَنْعَنَةَ أَصْلًا. This methodology of Imam Bukhari, that he will not accept the hadith of two people if they haven't met each other at least once in a lifetime, forces Imam Bukhari to not use Alzam al-Bukhari, forces al-Bukhari to not use or do ihtijaj with ahadith where there is an being used. Okay, because an doesn't tell you whether somebody has met or not. It just says from. Okay. By I say from Mufti Menk, right? From doesn't tell you the mode of transmission. It just basically you just transmitting. It doesn't tell you whether you met or not. So the people are saying because Imam Bukhari has made this a condition on himself, it should mean that Bukhari should not accept any narration with an where the word an comes. And yet we know that in the Sahih al-Bukhari, he has, so there's no anana here. There's no anana here. There's no anana in this example, but you get the gist, right? Any hadith, any isnad with the an in should not be accepted because an doesn't tell you whether somebody has met or not. Imam Ibn Hajar says, "Wama alzamahu bihi," and his interlocutors, whatever they are forcing him to accept, laysa biladimin, does not apply to him. Why? He says, لأن الراوي إذا ثبت له اللقاء مرة لا يجري في روايته احتمال أن لا يكون سميعا. He says because when it is established that the rawi has met with the teacher at least once, there is no ihtimal, لا يجري في رواية احتمال أن لا يكون سميعا. There is no ihtimal, possibility that they did not actually meet. أن لا يكون سميعا means that they did not meet. If they have met, then that possibility that they've never met goes, right? Imam Bukhari doesn't say that for every single hadith that they narrate, and he included, they have to have established, so they have to use sami'atu. He doesn't say that. That would be difficult. He says at least once in their lifetime. And then the other argument is لأنه يلزم من جريانه أن يكون مدلسا, right? He says we only do that. We only do not accept the an'ana of the mudallis. The mudallis is the one who drops out his sheikh and narrates from his sheikh. Once a person is known to be a mudallis, right, then we do not accept the an'ana of the mudallis, right? وَالْمَسْأَلَةَ مَفْرُوضَ فِي غَيْرِ الْمُدَلِّسِ. But here we are talking about the mas'ala mafruda. Here we are talking about the non-mudallis. Who's talking about mudallis? We are talking about the people who are not mudallis. The people who are not mudallis, then there shouldn't be any problem in accepting any riwayat they mention with an, as long as once in their lifetime the meeting has been established. Okay, so whoever is making the allegation has confused the discussion of the mudallis and the discussion of the non-mudallis. Does that make sense, or have I completely lost you? Hussein?
Makes sense.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, please listen to the recording. It's not actually very difficult. He gives two arguments here, or two responses. So that's as far as ittisal is concerned. Bukhari's condition of ittisal is stricter, right? And therefore, that will be, because it's stricter, it will narrow the pool of narrators that he can narrate from or include. وَأَمَّا رُجْحَانُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ الْعَدَالَةِ وَالضَّبْطِ. As for Bukhari's preponderance from the point of view of adala, morally uprightness, and dabt, and academic ability, and this is your responding to your question, Hussein. فَلِأَنَّ الرِّجَالَ الَّذِينَ تُكُلِّمَ فِيهِمْ مِنْ رِجَالِ مُسْلِمٍ أَكْثَرُ عَدَدًا مِنْ رِجَالِ لِلَّذِينَ تُكُلِّمَ فِيهِمْ مِنْ رِجَالِ الْبُخَارِ. The scholars or the narrators that have been criticized from Muslims' sources are more in number than the scholars that have been criticized from the Rijal of al-Bukhari. Yeah, that's point number one. Imam Daraqutni and Abu Ali al-Ghassani and others have criticized Bukhari and Muslim, but so criticizing the hadith basically means criticizing the level of the isnad, and in the isnad the rijal. The rijal of Muslim that has been criticized by Imam Daraqutni is more than what he has criticized of the rijal of al-Bukhari. So Bukhari is less compared to Muslim. So I've got some statistics. The infiradat of Imam al-Bukhari. Infiradat of Imam al-Bukhari is, infiradat basically means those hadiths which he does not share with Muslim. Okay, these are only found in Sahih. So from the Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, forget all the other books, from the Sahih and Bukhari and Muslim, these are only found in the Sahih Bukhari. There are about 430 ruwats. Most of the criticism is basically on those munfarid. They don't criticize on the muttafaq alayh because it's quite strong. On the munfarid riwayats, about 430 ruwats who are only found in Bukhari, but they're not found in Muslim. Yeah, 430 ruwats who are only found in Bukhari, but they're not found in Muslim. And out of those 430, only 80 are critiqued by Imam Abu Ali al-Ghassani and Daraqutni and others, which is 18%. Only 18% of the infiradat of al-Bukhari have been criticized. So first of all, he only has 430 narrators which are not found in Muslim, only in Bukhari, and only 80 of them have been criticized. As for the infiradat, munfarid ruwat of Muslim, They are 610 rawis, which are only found in Muslim. They are not found in Bukhari. So the infiradat of Muslim are more, and out of them 160 of them are mutakallam fi, which is 26%. Yeah. So in statistically, more narrators of Muslim have been criticized than the narrators of Bukhari. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah. مع أن البخاري لم يكثر من إخراج حديثهم but nevertheless, Imam al-Bukhari did not narrate too many ahadith from them. Okay, so not too many, 430, in comparison to, 7,000 hadith is not a lot. Yeah. So whereas Imam Muslim has got more, right? But also the other point is بَلْ غَالِبُهُمْ مِنْ شُيُوخِهِ الَّذِينَ أَخَذَ عَنْهُمْ. But most of these narrators who have been criticized in Sahih al-Bukhari are from al-Bukhari's shuyukh, from his teachers. الَّذِينَ أَخَذَ عَنْهُمْ, directly from his teaching. وَمَارَسَ حَدِيثُهُمْ, where al-Bukhari knows their ahadith inside out. بِخِلَافِ مُسْلِمٍ فِي الْأَمْرَيْنِ, as opposed to Muslim, where there are more ahadith that he has narrated, where the narrators are criticized, and not most of them are from his shuyukh. They're somewhere else in the isnad. So he's not really that much familiar with all of the ahadith. So what does that mean? That basically means that, say for example, you are my students, yeah, and maybe I have particular views about something. Okay, let me basically say that I believe that that's just some by and by, right? I believe that the theory of evolution does not contradict the Quranic understanding of the creation of Adam, because I believe that the Quranic understanding of Adam is a metaphor, right? I'm just saying it by and by. I don't believe that. I'm just for the sake of argument. And therefore, Adam is a metaphor, and therefore there is no contradiction between scripture and evolution. You know that this is my view, yeah? However, you know that I am also a strong hadith scholar. So I have been criticized for my views in evolution, and yet you have quoted from me other things which do not relate to evolution, because the other thing you agree with me, okay? But you are also scholars and you agree with me, and you know that that's fine. So somebody else might then listen to you quoting me, and you basically say, "Oh, so did you know that this guy believes in evolution, right? And he's been criticized." So the point here is that you guys know that I believe in evolution, and you guys know my views of evolution, and you guys don't agree with my views on evolution, and yet you're still narrating from me because you have studied with me enough to know which of my views you should accept and which of my views you should reject. Okay, and the ones that you accept, you know that 100% it's on point. The ones that you reject, you tolerate that from me. Does that make sense? We do that with our teachers, right?
Yeah.
He's got his tafarrudat. So this is exactly what Imam Ibn Hajar is saying, that all 100% of the Rijal of Bukhari that have been criticized are from the level of his teachers, and therefore he knows the ahadith inside out. And therefore, when he is quoting from them ahadith, he is making a judicial judgmental decision that he's going to include this one, and because it is sahih. Whereas Imam Muslim, not always is it from the level of his teacher. It's above, and therefore he doesn't really have too much control over his material. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And the fourth and the fifth reason So that's adalatul rawi, dabtul rawi. And the fourth and the fifth reason why there is more preference of Bukhari over Muslim is وَأَمَّا رُجْحَانُهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ عَدَمِ الشُّذُوذِ وَالْإِعْلَالِ. And as from the point of view that Bukhari is preponderant over Muslim on less shaz and less illa in Bukhari is فَلِأَنَّ ما انتقد على البخاري من الأحاديث أقل عددا مما انتقد على Muslim. So he's making the same argument. This is because the ahadith that have been criticized in al-Bukhari. So this is not talking about rijal here, he's talking about hadith. Yeah, rijal is individuals, hadith is basically sanad and matan, right? The ahadith that have been criticized of Bukhari is less than the ahadith that has been criticized of Muslim, which basically means that the ahadith of Bukhari has got less ilal and less shuzuz. هذا مع اتفاق العلماء على أن البخاري كان أجل من مسلم في العلوم. And this is also in addition to the ulama accepting that Bukhari is more greater than Muslim in knowledge in hadith, وأعرف بصناعة الحديث منه, and is more knowledgeable in the craft of hadith than Muslim. وأن مسلما تلميذه وخريجه, and Muslim is his student and his prodigy. ولم يزل يستفيد منه ويتبع آثاره, and Imam Muslim carried on benefiting from Imam Bukhari even after becoming a teacher, and was still following in the footsteps of Bukhari. حتى لقد قال الدارقطني, to the extent that Imam al-Darqutni said لولا البخاري لما راح مسلم ولا جاء, that had it not been for Bukhari, then Muslim wouldn't have known whether to come or go. Yeah. وَمِن ثَمَّ, so he's given his evidence. The five conditions are much superior in Bukhari over Muslim. He says وَمِن ثَمَّ, because of this, I mean هذه الحيثية أي وهي أرجحية شرط البخاري على غيره, from the point of view that Bukhari shurut are more stronger than Muslim shurut, قدم صحيح البخاري على غيره من الكتب المصنفة في الحديث. Imam al-Bukhari has been put in front of all of the other books written on hadith. ثم صحيح مسلم لمشاركة البخاري في اتفاق العلماء على تلقي كتابه بالقبول. So he's repeating himself. And then Sahih Muslim, because the ulama have agreed that they have agreed and accepted his books, siwa ma ulila, except those ahadith where they have been criticized. ثم يقدم في الأرجحية من حيث الأصحية, and then from the point of view of authenticity, those ahadith are put forward more rajih ma wafaqahu shartuhuma, that which corresponds with their conditions. The ahadith, those particular ahadith are not found in the Sahih al-Bukhari or the Muslim. They're found in other books, but they fulfill the conditions of Bukhari and Muslim. For example, Imam Hakim has written a book called al-Mustadrak ala al-Sahihain, where he is bringing more ahadith which are not found in Sahih Bukhari and Muslim, but they have the same conditions as far as the ittisal sanad is concerned, as far as the ruwat are concerned, adalatul rawi, adam shuzuz, adam al-illa. So these are called ma wafaqahu ala shart al-shaykhain. So there we have a few more categories here. Right. We have number 4, على شرطهما. Number 5, شرط البخاري. Number 6, شرط مسلم. Number 7, دونهما, everything else other than دونها, everything else other than those 6. Yeah. Those are the categorizations of, if you want to categorize a hadith according to the books. ما وافق الشرط لأن المراد به رواتهما مع باقي شروط الصحيح, because what does وافق شرطها mean? It means that the ruwat of those two books in addition to all the other conditions. ورواتهما قد حصل الاتفاق على القول بتعديلهم بطريق اللزوم, and the ruwat of the شرطهما, the ruwat of the شرطهما, they have ittifaq because a priori ittifaq, because they've already been accepted because they are the ruwat of Sahih Bukhari and Muslim. فهم مقدمون على غيرهم في روايتهم. So the shart of Bukhari and Muslim are privileged over others as far as their riwayat is concerned. وهذا أصل لا يخرج عنه إلا بدليل. So this is an asl. This is a principle, default case where you can't move away from that unless you have some other dalil. And that other dalil might be that there's a hadith in Tirmizi which is muhtaf bil qara'in, and that muhtaf bil qara'in is forcing us to kind of accept the Tirmizi riwayat over the shart al-Bukhari and Muslim. فإن كان الخبر على شرطهما معا كان دون ما أخرجه مسلم أو مثله. If it is the shart of both of them, then the shart of both of them is lower than Muslim and like Muslims. وإن كان like Muslim means other hadith books related to Sahih, for example Sahih Ibn Hibban, others. وإن كان على شرط أحدهما, if the hadith is according to the condition of one of them, فيقدم شرط البخاري وحده على شرط مسلم, then the shart of Bukhari will be privileged over the shart of Muslim, تبعا لأصل كل منهما, following the asl of each of them. فخرج لنا من هذا ستة أقسام تتفاوت درجاتها في الصحة. From this we have 6 qisms, okay, where the darajat, the degrees of صحة are different. وثم قسم سابع, and there is a 7th قسم which وهو ما ليس على شرطهما اجتماعا وانفرادا, which is not according to the shart of Bukhari and Muslim either together or separate. وهذا التفاوت إنما هو بالنظر إلى الحيثية المذكورة. And this difference of degree is based on the categorizations we mentioned above, but there might be إنما هو بالنظر إلى الحيثية المذكورة, but he's saying there might be other factors where one hadith might be privileged over another hadith, but it doesn't follow these 7 categories that we have followed. That inshallah I will discuss next week, and next week we are having a class. I will take your leave now because my family are here and they're about to leave. They've been here for a week, so I just need to see them off. It's getting quite late. They've got 300 miles to travel. Is that okay? Jazakumullah khair. I will see you next week. If you have any questions, please keep them for next week, inshallah. Okay, assalamu alaikum.
Inshallah.